All right, good evening, everybody. I think we should start now. We'll get started. I apologize. We did have a couple technical difficulties, so we're a few minutes late, but we'll jump right into it. We do want to let you all know that this meeting is being recorded. I just want to start by thanking all of the residents that may hop on at the moment. We don't have anybody on right now, but we did send invites out. So any of the residents that will be participating in this meeting, thank you for joining us. Staff, thank you for joining us for our first 2022 Resident Advisory Board meeting. I do want to start out with a quick introduction of the Fresno Housing staff that will be presenting in this meeting. I'm Lyric Agigam, and I am Fresno Housing's Senior Policy Analyst, and I will be presenting a brief summary on the annual plan. We also have Hilda Reeves on here, who will also be presenting the changes on the ACOP, which is specific to the public housing program. And then we also have ASL and Spanish interpreters available and present. Before we jump into the presentation, I do want to note that this meeting is being recorded and streaming on our Facebook Live. I also want to know and emphasize that this meeting is strictly to discuss the changes to the ACOP. And that's being displayed for our public comment on Fresno Housing's website. I provided the link to the website to the meeting in the invite to the RAB members. I also want to make sure that you guys are aware that discussing personal issues should not be, presented in this meeting. We don't want to talk about wait lists or vouchers or landlords. This is specific to the agency plans that are on our website. So please remember that. And we do want to let you know that this will be published to our website so you guys can refer to it in the future. So Fresno Housing staff will present the potential changes, and then we will notify you of when you can start asking questions and presenting comments. Please remain patient as we get through the presentation first. When it is time to speak, we will ask for you to raise your hand if you have questions or comments, and then we will call on you and unmute your mic to speak. This will take place after the presentation and after we, give you all of the information, in regards to the changes. We may not be able to answer all questions during this meeting, but if we don't answer them, please feel free to drop the questions in the chat, and we will document them and post the answers on the agency plan webpage at a later date. For those who are watching on Facebook Live and may have questions or comments, please email and post the answer, or please email the link that is, I think Fidel should have sent a message on the actual chat on Facebook Live. We do have the link to the email that you should ask any questions to, and then we'll answer them on a frequently asked questions document. I do want to thank those again who are participating on the Resident Advisory Board this evening. We do have a lot of interest every year in participation for the board, and we do, take the participation very seriously, and we think it's a very important part of the potential changes that we may be making for our housing programs. So again, thank you, and we will get to your questions and comments right after this presentation. Just give me a few moments while I share my screen. 1 second. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so I do want to start out with just a quick little presentation overview. So, we hope to obtain some guidance from you all. 1 second, my screen is not working. I apologize. 1 second. My apologies, my screen isn't working for me. Okay, here we go. So we do, hope to obtain some feedback or guidance from you guys on the documents while the plans are posted for public comment. So just a reminder that the public comment period ends on September 12th. We will get into the timeline further in the PowerPoint, but you will see headings in yellow, green, and blue in the ACOP summary of changes that were sent to you via email. Yellow text represents significant proposed changes defined as those that impact the eligibility and admissions policies as regulated by HUD. The green text that you see will represent HUD regulations and or regulatory changes mandated per the Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act of 2016. Blue text represents additional changes suggested by staff that are discretionary at local level permitted by HUD. Hold on one second. Something's wrong with my screen. I'm not sure why it's not sharing properly. Let me try again. Are you guys able to see this one okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, I can't see anybody. Okay, so we're moving on. So, and then we also have staff recommendations that you will see reflected in blue. So, again, we will ask for you guys to discuss any of the changes or ask any questions regarding this plan once we conclude this presentation. So we'll go into the background. So the agency plan basically informs HUD and public of PHA policies, operations, funding, asset management, and program activities in place or planned for meeting local housing needs and goals. So the first part of the agency plan is the annual plan. The updates on progress, amendments, or significant changes will reflect in the annual plan. Every year this is updated. So this is just like as an FYI, it's just informative. The board does not adopt this. It's just, again, something to give an update on the public and HUD. Then we also have the administrative plan. That is a specific plan that basically is discretionary policies governing the administration of the HCV program. And then we also have the ACOP, which is admissions and continued occupancy policy, and that is specific to the discretionary policies governing the administration of the LIPH program. So we get into the timeline now. So as you can see, we have August 9th bolded. That is the first resident advisory board meeting. And I also want to point out that the 45-day public comment period began on July 29th. We do want to let you know, the end date of the public comment period is on September 12th. And then we should come to the board for approval on September 27th, and then it'll be finalized and submitted to HUD on October 17th, and that will include all questions and comments from the public and our staff. So just a quick brief summary of the annual plan. The annual plan does include a summary of the changes from the admin plan and the ACOP. So we will go over the ACOP changes today. Tomorrow we will go over the admin plan changes. And then we also include some things that are not in the admin plan or the ACOP, which is considered any potential development projects that the agency may want to undertake, updates to the current projects in the pipeline, or ones that we may have in pre-development. In addition, dates of funding applications are also provided. Staff puts the soonest date possible, even though there may not be an application, but we like to provide flexibility for the agency. All development projects eventually will require board approval. Other activities in addition to development that may be of interest to residents include some information on home ownership, progress report on mission and goals, and then some information that was described in our 5-year plan, such as finance and special projects. So at this moment, I will switch it over to Hilda, and she will talk about the changes in the 2023 admissions and continued occupancy plan.
Hi, thanks, Lyric. My name is Hilda Reeves. I'm Assistant Director of Property Management, and I'm going to be going over just 3 quick slides. The first one is our significant changes in yellow, and we actually do not have any this year. These would be items that our staff would be recommending, not necessarily something that is required by HUD. But it would be a significant change. This may change during the public comment, or once folks start sending in questions, we may find some other changes. At this time, we do not have any. The next one is, again, these are HUD mandated changes. This is anything that you would see in green in our draft. This is not necessarily a significant change. It doesn't really change the way we do things. However, we did change the language on occupancy standards and unit offers. This was to include, This was language that we changed to include protected classes. This was a significant, well, actually it wasn't significant last year either, but we did make some changes throughout the ACOP last year. This is just a section that we missed, but this is HUD mandated changes related to fair housing and protected classes. So this is just a language change in Chapter 5. And I think the last one, we do have a few changes here. Oops, sorry. We do have a few changes here. This is staff recommendations. They're not necessarily significant changes, but they are related to operations. The first one is the method of selection, section 411. We used to have a wait list for the city and one for the county. So someone who applied for public housing just basically applied for one of the 2 wait lists. And then their name could be drawn for anywhere in Fresno or anywhere in the county. So it could have been Orange Cove, it could have been Fireball, it could have been Pinedale, anything that was considered a county site. We recently changed that. And so now folks have to apply for a certain, a very specific site in a very specific city. And so folks tend to apply for various wait lists. And what happens is that by the time their name is pulled, sometimes their phone has changed, they're no longer interested, or for whatever reason, they are just not responding to our phone calls and our letters. And so what we've proposed is that once, if somebody is non-responsive, that means they don't respond at all to any of the phone calls and letters or emails that we send out, they are going to be removed from all of the wait lists at that time. And again, this is just because of operations. If somebody in Fireball is spending, we have to wait 10 days, 10 business days, sometimes 2 weeks for them to respond. And if we don't get a response, it's staff time that is taken up, and then a family could potentially have gone into that unit. And so if they are not responding, we remove them from all the wait lists that they are currently on. However, the family does have 6 months from the time that they are removed to contact us to be reinstated. If they wish to be reinstated, at that point, they would be reinstated for whatever wait list they were pulled for. The second change here is the local preference. This is related to any type of point. We have a point system where when we draw somebody from the wait list, there are certain situations that would give them a preference point, which means that we would draw them above anybody else. This could be a VAWA, it could be disability, it could be residency if they live in the area. One of the things that we also give points for is displacement. And so especially as we convert some of our properties from public housing to LPs, or as we buy and refurbish different properties, we sometimes have to displace families from their original unit. And when that happens, they do get a preference over anybody currently on the wait list. However, we needed to clarify that they also do have to meet the requirements of whatever unit they're going into. So if we're displacing them from one unit and they're skipping the list on our wait list for public housing, They have to meet the qualifications for that public housing unit. It could be income, it could be background. But the preference itself doesn't automatically mean that they're going to be approved. Those are both in chapter 4. In chapter 5, determining unit size. This is related to children in foster care. We have language in the ACOP now that allows a family who is already living in public housing to keep their larger unit if their kids are removed from the unit because of foster care or anything related to CPS. If there's a potential for those kids to come back, we're going to leave them in that larger unit until we have a definite answer. What we don't have right now is language that allows somebody who lives in public housing to request a larger unit because they're taking in additional kids or family members or foster kids. So we wanted to add that. We have had some situations where residents are taking in their grandkids or another family member. And so we want them to be able to get into those larger units. There are some requirements related to that. It can't just be somebody who's visiting. There has to be a legal placement of that child in that household, whether it's guardianship or foster care or adoption. But once that happens, we wanted to give our families the option to request a larger unit. That was chapter 5. In chapter 9, we have 2 changes to our recertification notice timeline. Right now, when somebody's anniversary date is coming up, we give them 120-day notice that they need to come in and recertify. If they don't come in within the first 90 days, they get a 90-day notice to recertify. If they still don't come in, they get a 60-day and then a 30-day, which used to come with a termination of tenancy for failure to comply with the house rules or with the program rules, actually. So we've changed that. So now that the termination of tenancy comes with the 60-day notice instead of the 30-day notice. It gives the resident an additional 30 days to come in and cure the notice or to recertify and get back into compliance. They can come in anytime up until the day that that final 60-day notice expires to cure the notice and kind of void the termination, and even possibly beyond that. But what happens is that, number one, they put us out of compliance with HUD or tax credit, well, HUD in this case. And then there's, again, folks on the wait list who are waiting. And so we want to make sure that if we need to get through that process, that we are in compliance, and we want to make sure that we're giving the residents plenty of time to do what they need to do on their end. So this one, again, gives them an additional 30 days before their tenancy is terminated. And the last one is clarification in the language that reiterates that not just the household, the head of household, but every adult in the unit has to come in and recertify before the anniversary date. They don't have to come in at the same time, but they do have to come in before that 30-day, the recertification really should be completed 30 days before the anniversary date. So again, all the adults are getting that same 120-day, 90-day, 60-day, and 30-day notice. But this, we needed to add language that specified that it's not just a head of household, but every adult member. That includes any kids who may have turned 18 during that previous year who need to come in and recertify. That means they have to complete the application, in some cases do a background check, and submit any income verification. And I think that might be all the changes that we are, let's see, there might be one more. Nope, I think that was it. So I don't know if we had any questions. We wanted to go through the ACOP. I don't think we need to do that today, but we could maybe, Larry, just show folks where they can find the ACOP if they want to go through that and look through any of the sections and come up with any questions or recommendations. And then they could send it, and information on where they could send their questions.
So if you guys want to find more information on any of the agency plans, including the ACOP that Hilda just went over, we have the link right here, and I'll click on that and show you how to navigate it. But we are again in our public comment period. So if you guys have a chance to comment on anything that you guys find interesting, or you have questions about on any of them, you can send an email. This link's not working for some reason. I'm sorry, my computer is going slow. Okay. Let me share my website with you guys 1 second. So I am just going to pull up the website for you guys. Basically here is where, sorry, let me share it right now. The drafts are going to be presented. So you will click on the 2023 PHA plan drafts and public comment. You'll click on more. And then here we'll give you a thorough explanation as to how you can submit comments or feedback on any of the drafts. So, you can send an email right here, agencyplans@fresnohousing.org. You can call and comment on anything or ask me, this is my cell phone, any questions regarding the plans, or you can mail a comment in and you would send it to 1331 Fulton Street, Fresno, California, 93721. That's our central office. But you will find the plans here. So I just want to note that this public comment period, again, is specific to these plans. It's specific to the annual plan 2023 draft. It's specific to the administrative plan. And then it's also specific to the ACOP. So, again, not to reiterate, but we're not taking comments or questions regarding personal issues. It's specific to this webpage. Again, those who are on Facebook Live, I think the best way to submit any questions or comments would be to email this email address right here. That'll go straight to me. And then we will post your guys' questions and answers to them below right in here. So if you guys want to check back periodically, they will be posted here throughout the public comment period. I think that's basically it. I did want to give time for questions and comments, but I'm not seeing any residents on the call right now. So I think that we can conclude. Hilda, do you want to add anything before we conclude? Again, we will have questions and frequently asked questions and comments on the website, but as of now, we don't have anything. So we'll update it, but I'll hand it over to you, Hilda, before we go any further.
No, I don't have anything else. I just want to encourage anybody who does view the recording to log in and look at the ACOP. Again, we didn't make any significant changes this year, but we definitely want to hear from anybody who is interested in asking questions or talking about anything in the policies that they would like either more information on, clarity on, or like to see changes in.
Again, those who are listening on Facebook Live, I just want to thank you guys for, checking in and just hearing us out. Again, this recording will be on our website if you guys want to refer back to it at a later date. But other than that, I will conclude here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff. And we will see you tomorrow for the administrative plan meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Lyric.